What's up guys, it's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little bit of Mass Effect Andromeda news. And today we're going to be talking about an announcement they made regarding the multiplayer for Mass Effect Andromeda that just recently came out. It's gotten kind of lost in all the hoopla about the little Korean teaser that came out in one of the recent trailers. But they did come out and say that all of the multiplayer maps are going, the DLC is going to be free in Mass Effect Andromeda. So this is kind of in a similar vein with what they did with Mass Effect 3 with the multiplayer, where you essentially were able to download all of the multiplayer map packs for free. And I think this is a good thing. It's good that they're continuing to do this because this promotes a little bit more community. It keeps more of the community together when you're playing the multiplayer. It doesn't break people up, and as long as everyone has access to all of the maps, it creates just a much larger player pool that they can pull from, so you should be able to find matches fairly quickly. I know when I used to play Call of Duty, it became a big problem when they put out the DLC map packs, and the people that paid for them would have the maps, and people that didn't wouldn't, and usually didn't want to buy them. So that way, it kind of split the community up and led to a more shallow player pool, and it led to some longer wait times when you were trying to queue into a match. Now they also did shed some details on how the multiplayer is going to work. We still don't really have much footage on the multiplayer yet. But it is not going to be required at all to affect any parts of the solo campaign in Mass Effect Andromeda. So that was a big gripe a lot of people had about Mass Effect 3, especially when Mass Effect 3 first came out. You almost had to play the multiplayer just to get your score up high enough in order to get a good ending. But towards the end of the game, after all the DLC had come out, multiplayer was not required as much, but a lot of people didn't like the fact that you almost had to play it at certain times in the game in order to get your score up with your war assets. So they've gotten rid of that completely, but there still is a little component they're talking about with strike teams and missions in multiplayer where you can actually get bonuses that will affect your solo campaign. So that's still pretty interesting. They're saying it's not mandatory, you don't have to play the multiplayer, but it almost seems like if you want to have some of those bonuses, that you're going to still need to sort of interact with it. Now they did say there's a way to do it without playing. You can actually send a strike team out, which is going to be a group of NPCs that you send out from like the Nexus or your Ark. And that sounds kind of similar to the war table in Dragon Age Inquisition, where you just kind of send out groups on missions, you choose which character you want to send, and then you get results and items and things depending on how well they did in their negotiations or their mission or whatever they were working on. So that's a very interesting concept. And they said you could also play those missions in the multiplayer if you'd rather just do that, and you'll still be able to unlock some bonuses for the single player part of the game. So very interesting. Even though it's not going to be mandatory, it still will give you some benefits for the single player campaign if you want to take it on and play those little parts of the multiplayer. So that's pretty nice. I'm glad they're doing this. I hope the multiplayer is pretty good. Given how much enjoyment I've had with Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, I'm still playing it today, almost 5 years later. Well over 500 hours into it. Just really enjoy it. There's still a lot of people playing. Hopefully they still have a pretty good community when Andromeda comes out for the multiplayer. Now I know Bioware did a really good job with Mass Effect 3 when it first came out. They were very supportive of the multiplayer. They did all kinds of events and things with the community. But it didn't have a lot of attention early on, and it kind of fell off. I think a lot of people were just very put off by the fact you had to play the multiplayer to help your solo campaign. So a lot of people just kind of shunned it. They went away from it, and BioWare's support of it kind of ran out pretty quick. They did do all the maps for free, of course, and the downloadable packs for free to unlock some of the other characters. But they kind of, in terms of their own support and doing the events for players and things, they kind of just quit doing that very early on with the multiplayer in Mass Effect 3. So I hope that doesn't happen with Andromeda, but it is probably going to depend on how many people do buy the game. Obviously, for them to put out the free DLC, there's going to be microtransactions. It's kind of the same thing that Halo 5 and 343 did with Halo 5 when putting out Warzone and putting out all the microtransaction packs to buy things. It's going to be the same thing in Andromeda. I'm pretty sure you could be able to buy the packs for the weapons and things just like you could in Mass Effect 3. And they're probably going to be using all of that money, or some of that money, to put out these free maps for the multiplayer component of the game. So we'll see how that works. We'll see if people support it, and we'll see how many people play it, and if it's got good, keeps people's attention. I'm hoping it does. The multiplayer, as I've said in other videos, is one of the things I am looking forward to with this game, as I really enjoy the multiplayer Mass Effect 3. So I hope what they do in Andromeda is just as good, if not better. Hopefully it'll take the base, the core, parts of Mass Effect 3's multiplayer that are really good, and it'll improve upon them. Hopefully the mobility is one thing I'm hoping is a lot better. We definitely need that jetpack's going to be pretty cool for doing some attacks in the game. So we'll see what happens with that. But overall, good news that they're going to be providing free DLC for the multiplayer in Mass Effect Andromeda. So let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know if you're planning on picking this game up on day one, or if you're going to kind of do what I'm doing and wait and see what the reviews look like, see what some initial gameplay and narrative looks like. I'm still on the fence. Part of me wants to really just pre-order the game, but I don't pre-order games anymore. I just think it's a flawed system, and there's really no point in handing a company money until you know exactly what you're going to get. But we'll see what happens with Andromeda. I'm really hoping it turns out to be great, because I'd love for there to be a new Mass Effect game that just totally blows me away, and I'm really hoping that they do a good job with it. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys are having a great day. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time.